Call the executive committee meeting for Tuesday, April 25th to order. Can I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Tripp?
Present.
Mr. Legess? Mr. Olchoff? Mr. Hess?
Present.
Mr. McConnell?
Present.
Mr. Scott? Mr. Snipes? Mr. Byrne?
Present.
Mr. Seroy?
Present.
Mr. Hildebrand?
Present.
Ms. Weber? Mr. Johnson? Mr. Lear?
Present.
Mr. Wheeler?
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Alrighty, I have no public comment this morning, no presentations. Approval of the minutes from March 28th. Do I have a motion? Mr. Byrne, second. Mr. Seroy, not everybody at once. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. I don't have any legislative updates right now. Hopefully that will have some things moving down in Springfield in our lifetime. Seems like it, doesn't it? It's amazing. And I have no appointments to discuss right now. Information services, Mr. Duval.
Excuse me. Okay, we'll just do an update. Make sure you can hear me. We'll go through a few items. Update on the streaming process. Some of you have been in other committees. We're going to have a regiment that we have now. So, and this is more to make sure that we get that, we have time to do any corrective measures that we need to. So about 8:54, we back here, whoever's sitting there, will start the recording. About 8:58, we'll start streaming so it goes to the internet. These are all time allowing for them to reset if something goes wrong, so we don't have a meeting of bad sound and all that. It gives time to start and over again. And it doesn't affect your meetings, allows you to start on time.
Yes.
What we will do during that time is only a brief second will we have all of you able to be seen. The test will be, a few seconds we'll have you be able to seen, and you'll hear me saying test 1, 2, 3. But then we have something that goes over that says, it's got the county symbol and it says this meeting will begin at 9 o'clock, so we block it off, allowing you to interact before the meeting. So the important thing will be whichever one of you chair that meeting, do not turn the microphones on until that time, and then everything will be covered. We just need to make sure we have enough time to take corrective measures before we go on in there. So when you hear me testing, that doesn't mean everything's going live. It'll still be whenever the chair takes it. Okay. The next thing on that issue would be, at least at the last meeting, the sheriff seems like they decided to consolidate their videos in the same channel. Last time Josh had us put their recordings for the community service with the same channel here, so there's one place, and I believe that's how you were one of the options that you put out there to have it. So I don't know if I had a chance to update you on that. And the last issue, which has less to do with the streaming process, is the chair asked us to help the Fifth Floor get some existing podcasts onto the website. I think we got 1.5 years going back of those, so they're sitting up there. So everything to date, I believe, is up to date. That doesn't change the workload that they have on the Fifth Floor, knowing that they have less people than they are. So don't expect that to just be flying out. There's still, everybody's dealing with less people. So, but if anybody needs those audio ones, they should be out there by now. Okay, as far as the next item for my department is the SAA move. Can't go into much of the details. They're still deciding specifics, and I wouldn't go into specifics here anyway. That would be for the SAA, to a state's attorney to say whatever. But I'd like to thank the chairman and Brian and the state's attorney, that some of the moves they've made or decisions they've made have saved my department money. Going to the 6th floor by the civil here could have been somewhat costly for my department by everybody agreeing to go with basically what is there and not remodel it for at least right now. That allows me to take some of the items, again, in addition with, I believe, the chair and the maintenance department of deciding what, at least temporary, what they're going to do. The treasurer department, where they were in the old building, allows me to repurpose networking hardware. So that allows, as far as my department goes, there's going to be zero cost to me and to the general fund to move state's attorney to that floor and actually to the 3rd floor. We can repurpose items. If it had been a remodel and rewiring, that could have been into the tens of thousands of dollars. So we do appreciate that the group, when you got together, that you decide that, at least from my point, saved a lot of money and effort. We still have labor involved, but we service them anyway. So, I mean, it's a heavy load during that time, but we've done it before, so we know what to do on it. And I guess the last item would be is just once in a while, I'll give you an update of what goes on. We used to have a committee over for the judicial department. We don't do it as much anymore. I'm not even sure that we need to have it. That'll be up to the judicial, because basically whatever needs to happen is a transaction between whoever's the chief judge at the time, the chairman, and I believe the circuit clerk. Is that right? The process is the funding. But we have working groups that get together because, you know, they have millions of dollars into their system, so we need to organize when we do items. They called a meeting of some key people on some certain changes that they're proposing to do on their system over there. Judge Albright is chairing this little work group that we did there. A couple other judges were there, where she assigned some items that she wanted to do, and I'm there for advisory. An advisory capacity, and then if there's some work that we can do, we will help them in that. In general, what they're looking at doing for this first part is she needs an upgrade for her section of the CourtView software. As far as we're concerned, that's not a financial issue. It's nothing that will be charged to the general fund. They fund their own items out of their 2 funds. But she's going to be the test item. Potentially the other 9 judges would do the same setup, but we're going to do a specific one to her because she stresses their system more than anywhere else. Based on those tests that we do, she'll decide whether or not they're going to go ahead and fund the upgrade of their servers. They are out of sequence. They're running on servers that are 6-7 years old. The original plan was every 5 years to take them out, but along with everybody else, you take into account your financial situation. You don't just do it because you had it scheduled, you know, so they're not going to do that. But just letting you know that we're going through items over there. They're going to take time, but they do, if you hear any talk about it, they're going to be, as long as, I guess, the board goes along with the past practice where they fund all their existing stuff. I'm there for an advisory capacity, and we'll provide labor where we can if it's stuff that we have knowledge on. If they've got specific software programming, we don't do that. I'm sure everybody knows that. The other item would be is they're having to get ready for the Illinois Supreme Court mandate that requires the online filing. That's going to be a major switchover for them. But as far as our part to it, it's a portal. It's going to, for us, it'll be relatively easy. For the judicial system, that's going to impact them quite a bit, but that'll be their decision how they handle it. But as far as the general fund, again, if we're going by past practices, which I believe the chairman wanted to go, the general fund doesn't pay for any of this. We just provide labor where we can. Anything else, that's their cost because they have far more money than we have available for anything like this. And that's my update. If you have any questions.
Any questions? One thing I wanted to mention is that we had our first executive session on the streaming, and that worked well. The screen just goes blue. Not like this one, I apologize. And it has the county logo on it, and it says something along the lines of, we're in executive session, we'll be right back, or something like that. But we have to be very careful of that. So if you're running a meeting that has an executive session, we always make sure that we're not going out on audio. They pull the plug in the other room, and then they have a blue screen. So just make sure that you're in close contact with Kevin if he's here, or whoever's back there running the, behind the curtain there, Oz, I guess, and then in the back, because that is important. That's we have to be very deliberate in that aspect. So
Yeah, I should have brought that up. That's very important.
yeah. All right. I'm sorry. Yeah. Elevator music. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
No problem.
We have Mr. Beavis is not here today from the health department, and we don't have anything from Dr. Murphy. I will just a quick update on the regional office. That building closed. They paid for the special ed co-op's building, and then it became transferred over to be a county building. So we acquired a building without paying for it. When does that happen? So they're going to be moving. It looks like complete by the second week of next month. So if we're talking about when is the civil going to go upstairs, it would be right after that. Basically, I imagine we'll run some vacuum cleaners and upstairs because we're not remodeling. So it's going to be a very quick move. They're preparing for all that right away. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else associated with that. In building and grounds, it's kind of fluid right now, but civil can move just as quick as they can get over there. They can start moving stuff. So a lot of things going on simultaneous right now, but we're trying to be deliberate on it as we're doing it. So as Kevin mentioned, we're saving a lot of money when we found out that we could reuse a lot of those cards for the phone systems. That will save us a lot of money. So, Mr. Tripp.
Can we back up just a little bit?
Sure.
Health Department. I know several are on that board. Mr. McConnell's on it. And I'm hearing that they cancel or postpone most of their meetings. And we have a board like that, but I think it's important that they meet. And
Really?
if there's actually, well, I understand they've postponed or canceled 4 out of 6 meetings in the last 3-4 months. Is that correct?
No, that's not correct.
Well,
Last meeting was postponed because we didn't have a quorum, but we'll reschedule that for next week. the
next week,
11th,
okay.
yeah.
But
They've been
I hear there's a
rescheduled.
lot of postponing. Anyway, I think it's important if we have a board to meet.
Well, they do meet, but when there's nothing on the agenda that requires any action, they don't.
Okay, all right. Okay, enough said.
Thank you.
Mr. Hess.
Mr. Hess.
Thank you, Chairman. Do we know, did they ever get the contract, the long-term contract with the renter for the building?
I think they do have that language. They just haven't executed it yet. They were waiting until they became.
I know at the
yeah,
last time we discussed that, they were working on some wording and everything for the
correct.
lease, so I was just wondering if that was ironed out yet.
I believe the last conversation that I had with, because the state's attorney's office is handling that for the county, they had the language together. They were just waiting until they physically took, possession of the building before they could execute that lease. And I guess that'll segue into, I'll just mention this. Tomorrow in finance, we're going to talk about this, but we are going to execute our lease with the company that is going to rent the sign, the billboard company. And this will be in finance tomorrow. We're going to talk about that. But company Amy's Advantage, they own the billboard that's there right now. So they're going to do that lease with the county. We just came to some terms on that, and I'm going to show you guys that at finance, what we came up with. We're not spending money. We're getting money, which is a nice change. When does that happen? But yeah, I just want to mention that to executive, that's not it's not a windfall. It doesn't really solve our financial issues, but at least I'll bring that up tomorrow. So anything else? Okay. So we don't have anything from schools directly. VAC, nothing today?
The meeting was last night, so.
Okay. All right. Personnel, HR issues. Lynn Mackin.
Good morning.
Morning.
I just wanted to let everyone know that we're going to start probably within this next month our sexual harassment and diversity training. We are actually going to do it online. So if you have a different email than the county email that you would like to do that from, let Diane know if you would, please, because we have IPRF, Illinois Public Risk Fund, that is going to do this. They will track it for us. They will send out reminders if you don't get in there and do it. And then come next year, they'll just, send out the reminders again to do our training. So the department heads at their meeting, we talked about it. They're going to get with me and give me emails so we can get all this going. And there'll be a certificate at the end that you'll print off. And I'd like to get a copy of that to put in your file, please. So, all right, that's all I had.
Ms. Weber.
Thank you.
The last place that I took this exam in, we were in charge of monitoring the time used. And I know the system, if you didn't use enough time, predicted that you hadn't learned enough and needed to take it again. Is that some part of yours too?
That they did not mention would be part of it. But I do know a lot of systems that do it that way. Yeah.
If it was
no
only,
guessing.
Yeah, no guessing. No, and then you're done. If it was 5 minutes, you haven't learned enough. So you go back.
So, did I hear you correctly? You're keeping a file on all of us?
I always keep files on everyone.
But it's like the federal government here. So the other question I had was, this is part of what they offer us as part of our liability insurance.
That is correct.
So there's more modules that we're going to be doing as we go forward.
Yes, so they do have a wide variety of training that other departments could take advantage of too, that is specific to maintenance or highway and such.
Yeah.
So.
And then we are bringing them in to talk about that at our department head meeting. So all of our department heads will know these resources, whether they're as simple as job descriptions or as complex as the specific training within the department. So it's a nice resource to have. So is that it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? I apologize. Any questions? Anyone else? Thank you. Administrative issues. We have some appointments. I'll read through these here just to get them into the record, and then we'll get a motion to combine and approve. I do want to mention one that was a mistake that Diane saved me from on the second one down, the appointment of Diane Redwitz to the Historic Preservation Commission. That spot is for a lawyer, and we didn't realize that until last night when we're printing up all of the documents to go into your packet. So I have to get in contact with Diane. I'm sure somebody in the audience here might be giving her a heads up when he gets back over to the office. But I do apologize to her directly for sending out the agenda with her name on it. But we have to appoint an attorney to that spot. So I'll just go ahead and read through the rest of them then. Appointment of Robert Ellington Snipes to the Kankakee Housing Authority. The appointment of Mark Wackett to the Kankakee County Regional Planning Commission. Appointment of Sam Payton to the Kankakee County Regional Planning Commission. Appointment of Dana Washington to the Kankakee County Regional Planning Commission. Reappointment of Mel Blanchette to the Kankakee County Regional Planning Commission. Reappointment of Amy Ciascio Jarvis to the Kankakee River Valley Forest Preserve District Board. Reappointment of Joseph Kane to the Kankakee County Board of Review. Reappointment of Mark Kaner to the Kankakee County Board of Review. Reappointment of Elizabeth Scanlon to the Kankakee County ZBA. Reappointment of Patricia A. Wagner to the Kankakee County Historic Preservation Commission. Reappointment of Paul Grislak to the Bourbonnais Fire Protection District. Reappointment of Larry Otten, anyone knows? Otten, to the Essex Fire Protection District. Apologize if I butchered that. Reappointment of Gene Rademacher to the Grant Park Fire Protection District. Reappointment of James L. Lamont to the Greater Momence Fire Protection District. Reappointment of David Snyder to the Kankakee Township Fire Protection District. Reappointment of Maurice O'Keefe to the Mantino Community Fire Protection District. Reappointment of Dwayne Hull to the Otto Township Fire Protection District. Reappointment of Dennis Schwark to the Pilot Township Fire Protection District. Reappointment of Dwayne Meyer to the St. Anne Fire Protection District. And reappointment of Mark Chapman to the Raymond Drainage District. Can I get a motion to combine and approve? Mr. McConnell, second. Mr. Hess. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Openings. So I will, I guess, say there's an opening now for the Historic Preservation Committee. Better cover that off right off the beginning here. And I'm sure that'll be a reappointment. We're reaching out to the attorney that sits on there right now. So one opening on the Kankakee County Board of Health, one opening on the Kankakee County Farmland Assessment Review Committee, one opening on the Kankakee County Convention and Visitors Bureau, one opening on the Cambria Area Fire Protection District, 5 openings on the Kankakee County Regional Planning Commission. Again, I'll mention that we need, if the current members want to stay on these commissions, they still need to send in that application. We did receive some applications for a couple of these, but they were very late in the day on Friday, so we were not able to get them at least in the pipeline right now. And I will say that the Board of Health appointment is for a dentist. So that's the position. So if anybody knows anybody, if the current, Mr. McConnell, I don't know if the current appointee wants to remain, maybe that's something you could help with since you're retired. Oh, retired. Okay. So if anyone, moved out of the county too, probably doesn't want to serve. So if anybody, your dentist, kind of ask around, we're going to put it out in the paper again, and we should probably put dash dentist in the actual ad itself. So. Alrighty, other business. Resolution for elected officials' participation in the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund. That's in your packet. Basically, this is just something that is sent yearly. You'll only find it here in the packet, so I can make sure I got that. It's at the very end. So I'll read it into the record real quick, then we talk about it. A resolution relating to the participation by elected officials in the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund, whereas Kankakee County is a participant in the IMRF, and whereas pursuant to 40 ILCS 5/7-109, elected officials may participate in the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund if they are in positions normally requiring performance of duties for 1,000 hours or more per year. And whereas the Kankakee County Board can determine what the normal annual hourly requirements of elected officials are and should make such determination for the guidance and direction of the Board of Trustees of the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund. And whereas the Executive Committee at its regularly scheduled meeting of April 25th, 2017, after review, discussion, and consideration, recommends that the below elected officials are qualified for participation in the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund. And so you can see all of the different titles. The auditor, the circuit clerk, the Kankakee County clerk, the coroner, recorder, sheriff, state's attorney, treasurer, and these are just the county-wide electeds. Because typically the county board chairman also is able. I did not elect to be an IMRF, so I did not take that benefit. But Mr. Hess, was it in there in the past?
I believe it was.
Yeah, and I just saw this and I'm like,
I discussed this with Mr. Lear earlier. I know you have opted out of it and everything, but I think we should have that on there.
I would agree, and I think the vice was also on this as well. When we did this, remember when the rules changed and we had to do this about
Correct.
2 years ago? I think it was the chairman and the vice actually worked the amount of hours to be an IMRF. Is that correct, Ms. Mackin? Hold on just a moment.
I believe there's a separate resolution for the chairman and the vice chair.
Okay.
This was just the elected.
The countywide electeds.
Right.
Because you're right, we actually did a separate resolution at that point. So that's why I think this is valid to pass this like this, but I will get that question answered. And if it's anything different, I can come back to this again. Mr. Lear.
Thank you, Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This was discussed at UCCI last time I attended. Actually, this is something new that IMRF has established. They're trying to clean up some paperwork because of issues in other counties. And so that's why we're having to do this. This is a new mandate from IMRF.
Okay. Because that paperwork went directly to payroll.
Yes.
And then it went straight to the state's attorney just to draw up. So This is not just a continuation of something that we've done in the past.
Correct.
Okay. Mr. Tripp?
If you're already in this, that doesn't have anything to do with this, does it?
No. No, it doesn't have
Just
anything.
if you want to get it from here on.
Correct. And I don't think that board members can contribute anymore anyway.
No.
Yeah, that changed. Ms. Mackin, did you have anything?
I believe this is every 2 years now that we have to do this resolution.
Okay. Right, okay. Mr. McConnell?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Goofy question. Who verifies the 1,000 hours?
You would ask a relevant question. No, actually, this has come up, especially when there are retirees that are working still with the county, and they can't work over a certain number of hours. So we have a time clock system, and when those hours are reported, that is how we keep track.
Elected officials?
No, on elected officials, it is they're salary exempt, so it's assumed that they're working full time. Now, if there is evidence of that not happening, then that's a whole nother situation. But it is assumed that you're working those hours if you're an elected official.
Thank you.
Mr. Snipes.
I know there's been some changing of values. I know when I first started the board, we had to pay, and they paid into it as far as that's concerned. And then I think about 4 years ago or something, they kind of changed that. Those individuals that are in it or was in it, when we changed it, do they have the option of staying up in it, or do they just end it as far as that is concerned? Because that would be their, they had a continuation. I mean, they had credible hours up in there, where with me it makes no difference because I'm over 30, I think about 34 years in it. So, but those individuals that do or did have any time vested or whatever, that would be literally freezing them. And I'm wondering if does the law allow us in that case to do it? And then the other thing with county board members, when they're saying requiring performance of duties for 1,000 hours or more, I don't know about other county board members, but I do know it would be very difficult to determine a county board member because you get calls 3 o'clock in the morning. So in essence, you're on duty from the moment you're elected to the point that you're unelected to me. Mm-hmm. So I think they would probably have to revisit those type of hours when you're dealing with elected officials. I'd be wondering what Chicago and some of the other downstate individuals do that were up in it as far as that's concerned, because for county board members or those type of individuals that are elected to office, their real job starts, outside of the meetings and including the meetings, because you got to represent. So
sure. And Mr. Leary, you might have heard something on this at UCCI. Wasn't there something out there where county board members were made ineligible for IMRF? Wasn't there something floating out there? It's law now, isn't it?
That is correct. There was legislation that impacted eligibility of county board members. Mm-hmm. And that was the reason we had a previous discussion and passed the motion that we did in terms of the future participation of county board members. Obviously, previously earned benefits are still going to be retained by those who had been serving on the board in the past. Mm-hmm. But no board member as a board member would be eligible in terms of any future benefits.
They can't contribute, but they can access their benefits.
Correct.
Now, the other thing is I see that they identified the county board, but have they also identified aldermen and other individuals in that, or did they just specifically isolate and just dealt with county board members?
To the best of my memory, thank you, Mr. Chairman. To the best of my memory, the legislation only dealt with county board members because of some members of the legislature who had particular issues in terms of their local county board.
No. So I'm sad not finding mandates. No.
Thank you. Any other questions? Mr. Hess.
We've already discussed this, but I'll make the motion we approve this
Thank you.
Before we go into any more
Yeah,
discussion.
exactly. Thank you for reeling it back in. And a second, Mr. Byrne. I think we should do a roll call because we would be spending money at some point. So,
Mr. Tripp,
Aye.
Mr. Hess,
Aye.
Mr. McConnell,
Aye.
Mr. Snipes,
Aye.
Mr. Byrne,
Aye.
Mr. Searoy,
Aye.
Mr. Hildebrand,
Aye.
Ms. Weber, Mr. Wheeler.
Aye.
Motion carries.
thank you.
I think on this committee I have a vote.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Mr. Lear,
Aye.
Keep track.
Don't want to shortchange the man. With his vote, that's for sure. Alrighty. Let me see if I have anything else on here. I don't have any information, I guess. It's on the agenda. Does anybody have anything for the better of the group? Any old business? Any new business? Mr. Hess. It's always one.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm just kidding.
And this probably should come up in buildings and grounds, but as I pulled in the parking lot today, and I know Brian's busy and everything, but we need to get the treasurer's name off of that building over there.
Ooh. I thought that had already happened. I apologize.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, the county's on there, you know, we're going to use that eventually for something, but
Right.
probably ought to get that treasurer's off because I seen 2 cars pull up there this morning.
Okay. I haven't gone over there. I'm assuming he put a sign that says go to the other building, but we still need to get the logo off of there. Mr. Duval, let me get you in the back here.
To that point, I was going to bring it up in the buildings gown or whatever. Can we have a bigger sign? Because I probably see 5 to 6 people a day stop down there. There is a sign there, and it's clear, says to go there, but you have to get out of your car, walk up to it to be able to read it.
Mm-hmm.
So if we made like a bigger thing that you could see through your car, that might help. But yeah, the signage is there. You just have to get, right
You have
up
to get
it
out to
see
do it. Okay. Fair enough. And we are, just so you know, from a building and grounds perspective, we are going to have matching signage downstairs as well, identifying the different areas. We were waiting on some design help on that to identify, county clerk here, treasurer back this way, and assessor over onto the side. So when people walk in the door, they come in the side door, you can immediately know where to go instead of walking up to an employee and they're acting as the information kiosk for the whole building. Then they don't get any work done. So, all right. Anything else? Oh, sorry, Mr. Searoy.
I was just going to say thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's a guy in the back of the room who's got a sign shop. So
I heard things.
So
Yeah.
maybe we can get a deal on some signs. We need it.
You know what? And he looks thrilled
that I mentioned that he has a sign shop. That's what he gets from coming to the meeting.
Exactly.
Only asking for a sign.
That's true. The guy didn't have your mic on, Mr. Byrne. Anything else? I guess I need a motion to adjourn.
So,
Mr. Hildebrand, Mr. Sarah, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those
Do you
opposed?
have an update on Larry's sister, or they had it already?
last night, I think.
Meeting is over.
Meeting adjourned.